Unmute. Tim, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
All right.
perfect. Zoom. Open my
Yeah,
notes.
but Caitlin will be here and then, Pete's gonna dial in.
There's Pete. He's just popping on here. So, let me,
Looks quite a bit different with that gone.
Yeah.
yes, it does. Caitlin,
Dark side.
what's your last name? I just couldn't think of it. I had a moment there. Wait here. Andy, you're still an alternate, right? Just double checking. No problem. Oh, and then Pete, be committed. It's on Zoom. Nobody's absent. Others present. While we're waiting, can I get your guys' names real quick?
Randy both.
Yep.
David Pearson. DPA.
Uh-huh.
Kevin Tucker.
TUPP or 1P?
2P.
Just making sure.
He was a Marine. I was gonna say, give him another name like Ed Liberty.
And then Tim Nolan. So,
Yeah.
A lot of people call me Mr. White,
Oh, yeah.
and then they'll correct themselves. Don't worry about it. I've been called a lot worse than people that claim to love them.
okay.
We'll wait for our adoring fans and public show, give them 1 more minute, show up for public hearing, and then we'll get started with things. It's not you guys' first rodeo, you guys were here a year ago or so, right?
Just over a year.
But they're downstairs, aren't
We were.
we? Yeah, we tend to hold here unless this room is busy. And then we slide downstairs. We've only been one time we've chosen
That's the wrong
downstairs,
button.
on the side.
Sorry, ignore that.
And it's just
Hit the
like
wrong
a-
button. Oh no, that was my, where's my phone button?
Yeah, did you find it?
Yeah, I didn't need to. Yeah. No, I tried to silence my watch and I hit the where's my phone button instead. So let's make noise instead of stopping it.
Pete's background is slightly nicer than our background.
Yeah.
Doing that around that retreat of some kind.
Yeah.
You can hear us, right? Okay.
Can't hear him.
Now he's muted. but-
No, he's muted, but that's all right.
I can hear everybody, see everybody, we're all good.
Awesome, thanks.
I thought I was the one you needed.
Different meeting, same rules.
I'm usually just because of my own. I'm using myself on time mistakes and.
All right, let's go ahead and roll. We'll start the 7:02, start the public hearing for a, it's both for an area variance and a use variance for a EMC sign located at the VFW on Gouverneur Street. Another number on that is 34 Gouverneur Street. And in attendance, we'll go ahead and announce the board is here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll hear from Tim Nolan about what the application was for, why it's denied, and we'll hear from the applicant in terms of why you guys want a variance. And then we'll go ahead and ask for quick comment. It should be, you know, in this process. And then we'll go ahead and move from there, okay? Great, so the board, sitting board, I'm Conrad Sons, I'm the chair of the ZBA here, though, Ken, and then to my right,
Caitlin Gonger.
Andy, I'm the alternate. Michael Snow.
and on Zoom, we have,
Pete Beekman?
also coming out on Zoom, we have Tim Nolan, the code enforcement officer. And let's go ahead and we're taking last week, Jen Reed.
Hi.
Great. You guys names already. So let's get the roll. All right, Tim, why don't you go ahead and take it away in terms of what was the application for and what was the denial of why was it denied? What was it?
On April 4th, 2024, the VFW post number 1231 submitted an application for a freestanding EMC sign and located at 34 Gouverneur Street, Canton, New York. Dimensions are 60 inches in length, 36 inches in height. And it's a two-sided EMC sign, and they wanted to add an additional 5 colors. The permit was denied because of non-conformance with 32565 provisions, D, illumination of signs. 6, electronic message centers displays that meet the standards of 32566E shall only be permitted in the CC zoning district, except as provided by subsection D7. Below with a maximum display area of 12 square feet. 32566E, electronic messaging centers, EMC, including LEDs, EMC standards, D colors, EMC sign color shall not be more than 2 colors per message. And if you're not looking at that on a paper, it sounds pretty confusing.
So you detailed it and you've seen
Any
it.
questions?
Okay. You guys are good. No.
Right.
Great. Nope, that's good, Tim. Thank you so much. That clarifies what was turned down for. Turned down for size and for number of colors. All right. All right, the applicant submitted an application. Let's go ahead and just for our sanity, let's go ahead and take one application at a time. Okay.
Okay.
Let's address the area variance first, which was the sign size change.
Okay.
And then after you go through that, let's talk about the use variance. Okay.
Okay, that's fair.
I got a question. You say size change, these change what we approved before.
Right. So let's back up a second. So we've approved this once. Okay. We allowed an EMC to come into this site, okay, even though it's not allowed in this location. And we allowed it to match the sizing that's allowed in this district. Okay, so we said, you can replace your placard type, letter sign with a sign, that was freestanding, as written by code. But at the decision right now. Tim, what's the size of the signs in this region?
Oh, the size that was submitted?
No. The Schedule F has an allowable sign of what size here?
Well, in this case, you're kind of departing from Schedule F.
Okay.
You're now in 32566E.
Right.
D7, that's where it regulates to 12 square feet.
Okay.
I can open up the Schedule F if you want to use it as comparison.
Nah, I think we're fine with
You may even have it right there.
I'm sure I do somewhere. Some of my pages. Yeah.
I think they're in the GMU. Yeah. Zoning district is the GMU.
Okay. That's fair. Do that. Do that. Okay, all right, so area variance. Let's talk area first.
Okay. We were very grateful for the position that the ZBA took here in the village, hearing our initial complaints and granting that variance. I brought that news back to our membership, as I only represent the membership. I don't speak for them, I simply represent them on this matter. I shared the decision by the ZBA, and several members had questions regarding the size of the sign that we were giving up, which was 4x8, 32 square foot, two-sided sign for a 12 square foot, two-sided sign. And their concern was several. A, lack of ability to display our message clearly to the public, whether walking or driving. Two, driving public while obeying the speed limit. What's the likelihood they're going to be able to read more than perhaps one or two lines of text on that size sign and operate a vehicle safely? That's at the beginning and the end of the day, we're trying to keep the driving public and pedestrians and everybody in our village safe. And three, we feel, or the membership feels, that we will lose business if we forego that sign that we originally were allowed to replace with the 12 square foot two-sided sign, because we won't be able to accurately share our message with the public, our membership for special events, different occasions that we have. So I began the process with Tim Nolan to make application for an area variance to discuss this particular issue, the size of the sign. And without going into great detail, the rationale behind the time lag between the initial decision that was granted and now, as I had a personal loss in my family and I was away. So
Life happens. We
It
don't-
does.
We don't, we don't worry about that.
that was the lag.
Yeah, lags happen. Sorry
So-
for all sense, but you know, this is which one we work with. Things move quickly sometimes and slow other times.
They do.
That's where we are.
You have anything that you'd like to add, Kevin?
I just think I remember when you were updating this, that there was also like an issue with one of the companies you were,
Good point.
whether they didn't get back to you or I don't remember what, but I know there was a couple times you had issues with hearing from the companies.
Relative to the sign company that we've selected. Initially, we had planned on a 3x5 and then we were told no, and we had gotten a quote for that size sign. And so we went with a smaller sign. The next smallest sign that they produce is 10 square feet. So now we have a existing freestanding sign that we were going to incorporate this new EMC into. That is not going to fit in the space without significant reworking of the support columns and or demolition of the sign and starting over. Where the 3x5 that we're seeking in this area variance will fit within 3 inches of the existing sign that is there. It's not going to grow in the space. It will simply fill the space between the existing signposts. While it is 25% bigger than what is allotted by code, I don't think it's unrealistic. And the reason I'm stating this is the sign company brought up during several conversations on the phone and the computer, they had never encountered a sign code like this in the United States. Obviously, it came from somewhere here, but they had not personally been exposed to it. In fact, they took copies of some of my paperwork and are using it in their question and answers for other people who are applying for signs or purchasing signs from them. Do you have anything, Randy?
Other than the fact you've been in touch with several companies. Here's what we are.
Yes, I'm throughout the area. So the posts themselves are how far apart in terms?
63 inches.
Alright, so 63 inches apart, okay. And so that's what.
Our vision is to place it as it's depicted in option 1 in the packet directly under the existing sign and. That's correct.
And this company will do this stuff.
They have a 60 by 30, I believe I attached the size estimates to the packet. Yes. They will do that.
Obviously, when we negotiate any sort of variance, there are tests that we have to talk about legally in New York State, right? And like, this is a public hearing, we'll talk about these during the meeting itself. And you can answer those questions to that. We'll move on to the public hearing part and the meeting part, to address those 5 questions. That works for you guys, if you guys want to say the 5 questions now for area variance. And then come straight to you, and then go to use. You'll completely separate them, or blend them in, but. Blend them a little bit. Okay. All right, cool. I don't think there's, Pete, any questions about the area side?
Just refresh my memory in terms of the square footage of the Presbyterian churches.
Oh, goodness, Pete, probably 12 square feet, so that's the code.
Right, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Because
Yeah.
I've been walking by it and driving by it, and
Yeah.
it doesn't seem
Same
too
size.
difficult to read, so.
Right. So if we look at just that as another example in the village,
Yeah,
yep, that is a 3x4.
okay,
Yeah, I don't have that right here, but I'm sure that's what we did. We didn't do it. We didn't do an area variance on that one. It was the use variance.
right.
Yep. We did not do an area on one.
You know, the Presbyterian church was allowed to go larger.
Were they? What we give
They
them?
were allowed to go larger because their existing sign was approximately that dimension.
Okay.
Yeah,
That was ordinance 12.
although I'm not sure, I don't think they did. I think he just wanted to stick within the 12 square feet, but ultimately, you know, I don't know what they ended up doing. I remember him saying that because he didn't want any issues.
Yeah, it was larger than 12 square feet,
It is, okay,
but it was like
Right.
if you can, if you have an existing sign, you can make it, you can't go any larger than the square footage of your existing sign,
right,
which now I'm thinking about what the VFW has. They can stay within the parameters of their sign, their existing signage. Of course, they want to add a new sign to their signage. I believe that's correct. Is that right, David?
I think that like if they were replacing the existing sign, I think that when we talked about this last conversation, if it had gone in the same location, we would have been working with a replacement in similar size. But the new location, better visibility from the road, we went with the code that was a 3x4. I believe that was our conversation last time. The church was a separate issue in terms of we did allow, they were replacing a stone structure with a sign integrated, and they replaced that with something slightly bigger. We have a 41 by 63 is what we allowed on that one, to match the existing sign. Because we moved the location on, when we talked about it, we thought the moving was a better location.
Right.
That's what we include. It's like a smaller sign fit there. And the application before, the notes do say like approximately 6 feet by approximately 3 feet. And now you gotta come back with a very clear definition of what size you're looking for. We allowed a 3x4, last time as a, like, basically, like, this is what the code says, 12 square feet, but let's hit that, because we were, numbers were a little fuzzier. And coming back with like, actually, our numbers are a little harder now, it's 63 inches here, the sign company saying this. So let's, okay, we'll talk about that in a second, about 4 tests and see where we end up with on that.
Okay. Thank you for clarification.
Sure. Just doing our best.
So we're trying to do it.
Yep. Okay. All right, so that's the area. Any other questions on the area for now? All right. Move on to the public hearing, public comment about the use variance. The use variance, the CEO already touched base on. I mentioned that it was a request for, he's saying it was turned down for the same thing. The use variance addresses another part of, it was turned down on colors and on size. And so it's the 2 variances. One's the area based on size of sign. The second is the request for a different color. The code states 2 colors per message. And you did ask for clarification. We'll get to that clarification in a little bit. What is defines a message? Or the question that came up. And that's like the question that came up during the email exchange between David and I. Or in his application, I forget where it was, but basically what defines a message, right? Is a message like basically if I list on a single screen that there's a raffle and a poker run and something else, like 3 distinct events, are those 3 messages, or is that one message because it's one placard, one display? So that's the question that
Right.
the applicant has about what defines a message. And let's address that in a second. Let's get at what your use variances for first for the colors. If you don't mind.
No.
Okay. Forward to you, so.
Again, when we brought back the approved variance for the area, the membership, when we applied for this, Tim Nolan denied the application for colors because, for more than 2 colors, because that was the code specific. My rationale in the memberships were, we're the only veteran service organization in the village. And the first thing that came to our mind is 2 colors. How do we pick the American flag? Red, white, and blue. And it's important for a veteran service organization to have the flag on its sign or the ability to do that. So that would be 3 colors, which would exceed the current code. That was our rationale. And 2, if we were to have 2 or 3 messages on the sign in addition to a small flag in one of the corners, those messages would have to be either red or white or blue, because we're limited to 2 colors. I thought for clear visibility and ease of reading, if we were permitted to have 5 colors, we could have a red, white, and blue flag. And we could clearly depict individual messages by using 1 or more of the red and white and blue, or 2 different colors, which would be 5. That was the thought process. I shared this with my membership, and they agreed that we need to bring this back before the ZBA to have that discussion. Kevin, do you have anything?
No, that's it. So I'm not sure.
Public comment. Any questions about the use variance? Clarification. So basically, the argument is that you'd like to display a flag on this as well as your message.
That would be a nice touch for a veteran service organization, yes.
So it's kind of a change of how you currently use your signage. The current signage is a placard-based static information, and then close to it, proximity, you have your flags and your branding.
Correct.
Okay, and now you're moving your static to below your static messaging to below that. In theory, that's where we approved it for, right?
Yeah.
Below your brand, your poster information and your flags, and you also want to put a flag on that piece as well.
It would be nice to have that option. Again, I don't speak for the membership. I
No, no,
simply
you're
share the
you're
message.
representing, that's fine. I represent the village, it's all good.
Absolutely.
Um. All right, so, what I would like to do then, if we don't have any more questions for you guys at this point, I'd like to go and move into our conversations about these different applications. And kind of look at the tests and the points on them in terms of how we roll through, okay? We can close the public hearing and move into the public meeting. Really doesn't change here. But efficient, yeah, not process. Public hearing is done. Okay, great. All right, so before us we have, let's look at our area variance first, right? Right? Now, the area variance, we're looking at that change from 12 square feet, which is originally approved, to a 15 square foot. On every single area variance application, New York State requires us to look at 5 different tests, okay? Talk about every single test to figure out whether it passes or does not pass according to the board and analysis of what's going on, okay? Area is different from usage, okay? Area variance, some of these don't have to pass, right? We can say, no, it doesn't pass, but we can still vote to approve, okay? On a use variance, if any single point fails, then the use variance is denied. The way to think about use variance, basically, we're saying that the laws in that location are being modified for that use for that applicant. Okay, so it's like spot zoning, and it's also basically saying that you are getting a variance to the laws that apply to that location. Okay, so that's what the application process. You guys have been done before, but just remind me where we sit. Okay, all right. So an area variance, right? I'm just gonna read through the different tests. We'll come back and talk to them, okay? Basically, the first one is whether undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. Remember, this is the change in square footage, changing from a 3x4 to a 3x5. And we're talking 3 feet in height, correct? Okay, we're not gonna turn it the other way.
No.
Okay, all right, we're going 3x5, all right. All right. All right, undesirable change in neighborhood is one test. Second question, whether the benefits sought by the applicant be achieved by feasible alternative to the variance. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, does the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? Number 4 is kind of like changing storm drains or something like that. You're just paving up paradise and that sort of question, right? Okay. And then number 5 is whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at number 1. Number 1 was whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of a neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties.
I just want to be clear, it's option 1 that.
We're talking about option 1 on the design. This is the, this,
Posts would remain.
yeah, posts would remain. And. Yeah.
And while he's showing that, I'd just like to say that I tried to get renderings, professional renderings from the company. Based on us flip-flopping on signs and estimates, they said, we're not gonna spend any more time or effort on this.
We've done enough.
We've done enough. When you come back to us with what you can or can't do,
Right. Yeah, they don't be involved in the high variance game.
no.
That's what we're looking at basically, right? That's your design. Undesirable change produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. Thoughts? $25% increase.
Remember the last time we did this?
Here, the neighbor asked, we've not heard anything of it. The neighbor did express concerns about a lit sign all the time. That is, I think it's a fair concern. When you increase by 25%, you do increase the lumens But the thing is, like, basically, I don't know if there's no, we would still be asking for the limitation. And there's still, like, part of the issue is like, once we increase the size, you're still controlled by the overall brightness.
Correct.
Like, so you still have like a bigger, but you can't be further away, can't be brighter. Yeah.
We spoke with the lady afterwards.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Expressed ours and all.
Uh-huh.
She misunderstood what we wanted to do initially. And we explained it to her, and this is outside meeting. She said, I don't have a problem with that. That's what she told us first.
That was kind of the tenor I got from her after the meeting.
Yeah.
She came as a fact finding, she's concerned about the light. But when hearing the conversation about how we're gonna mitigate light pollution and changing messages and not blinking, not.
Correct.
Like, that was mitigated through the conversation last week.
Yeah, and I think the fact that she's not here.
Yeah.
Conrad?
Yeah.
On that point, I spoke with the sign company and I've spoken with the code enforcement. Tim, we are going to purchase a light meter. And we will do the test with him. The sign, according to the manufacturer, is completely adjustable and will have, it's an outside sensor for daylight and dusk, which will brighten it in the daytime and dim it at night. And we still plan on shutting it off at the end of the business hours and turning it again at 1 o'clock when we come back, open the business up. So we'll not be on all night.
Is the proposed sign, the what is it, 3x5? It's still gonna fit within the posts that are there now? Okay,
So basically, the posts are 63 inches wide.
right,
And so the sign manufacturer doesn't build a 3x4.
Right.
They do a 2x5.
Correct.
They do a 2x5
right,
or a 3x5. So that's kind of where we are.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. So it's basically, it looks the same as like the drawing as we approved before, very similar to the drawing that we approved before.
Right.
Or because that was the size of freestanding signs. Fine, I wanna find that, start, pardon me, while I look. What I'm curious about is the signs. I find online, I can't find the book. I'm curious how we picked the 3x4, because now. But I don't think it's arbitrary.
We wouldn't have to do anything.
And we don't do arbitrarily, we do that law. Clear discussion. 12 square feet. Tim, we're in the GMU? Or we're in NMU?
GMU, that's right.
So, Tim, if we're in the GMU. Okay. Alright. Alright. The maximum sign area per sign of freestanding sign of the GMU is 16 square foot. Tim, when you put
Didn't hear that,
16 square feet on the GMU.
okay,
But my question for Tim is, when you have a stacked sign like they're proposing, right, where they have the top part, the VFW part on top, and then the sign below, how would you measure that sign? Is 2 signs or is 1 sign?
Can you repeat that question?
I'd be happy to. All right, so the proposed sign is putting the EMC below their existing wooden placard, right?
Yeah.
So if they put that below there, is that counted as 2 signs or 1 sign?
That's a good question. I mean, well, they have an existing sign. I guess they would be,
But it's the same business.
yeah, they're increasing the existing area of their existing sign, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at what BFW proposed, do you have the option 1 and option 2?
Yeah,
In front of
we're
you?
looking at option 1, yeah.
Yeah, let me open that up.
Um, and you know why I'm asking that question,
I am.
right? I mean, because you have 16 foot, if you're saying you have a 16 square foot overall sign size, if it counts as one size, you're gonna really bigger than 16 square feet right away, aren't we?
Yeah, I would
Right.
say where it says, Edward G. Seymour, VFW post 1231 is their existing sign. What's above that, I think, is classified as artwork and is not a sign. With the eagle and the trees in the background. That is, that is not considered a sign, but right below it is a sign. And what they're proposing in the 3x5 is a sign. Does that help?
So how many signs was that? I saw the sign.
The way I interpret it is at the very top where you have the eagle, that is not considered as signage. So you can eliminate what's on the very top, but you have to include the second, where it says VFW post 1231.
For point of clarification, this is all one piece. This isn't the whole Eagles. Just,
So you're saying all artwork?
well, the Eagles wouldn't stay there without that wooden cross member.
Right, but what I'm trying to say is you wouldn't include that in the area of the sign.
Right. Okay.
The only portion of that sign that can go, that is true signage, is where it says Edward G. Seymour, VFW post 1231. So you're increasing whatever the size of that sign is. What's that, like 16 inches by
By 60, so it's probably either 7.5 or 10 square feet, that range, right? Ballpark. All right,
yeah, so that's my interpretation. I mean,
fair enough.
I think what they're proposing is option one is the new sign. And that's what but I see your point. Like you gotta incorporate what's allowed in the total signage.
Yeah. So I think that I think that was a red herring. I think we can basically, we can move on a little bit from that. Andy brought up a good point here. He showed me the DQ sign from across the road, which has a big DQ symbol, and then it has their grill and chills and their meal deals below there, right? And so that's like, is that two? Is that one? I don't know, and I don't want to get into that interpretation today. Okay? I think we'll move on now if that's okay with everyone.
You got a good point there.
Yeah. Thanks. I'll pass that to you. All right. But I think regardless, basically, schedule F is basically saying 16 square foot for a new sign. You're asking for 15. We allowed a 12. Okay. So back to undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, detriment to nearby properties. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that extra 20?
I don't think anybody would move it. As long as it's not, they're no different because it's a lit sign, but as far as space, it's I don't know what bigger.
Inside the existing posts.
Yeah, I don't think about it. It's nothing.
Might even look better.
Yeah, like balance in the post.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Pete, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is it's fitting inside the existing posts, and it's probably not going to be a detriment to the neighborhood. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I would agree.
where the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. Okay? The benefit is the extra foot. Feasible alternative, well, they can put up a smaller sign. What they kind of do. Different sign company? You guys talk to a couple, I mean. Yeah. And no one does the 3x4s.
Oh, they do. The price variable for the square footage is significantly different.
Oh, really?
And some of the companies don't offer the same service, support, and the ability for us to self-install without having a professional installer by them or contracted by them install this, which would cost. We can do the sign ourselves, still maintain our warranty for, I believe it was 15,000. I'll just use that number. Hiring a contractor, having it done more than doubles the price.
So this is you guys do it yourselves type of deal.
Well, we will have a licensed electrician, but yeah, we will do it ourselves.
Yes, you'll do your own contracting,
Yes,
basically.
Yeah, licensed electrician is downhill.
no, no, it is not.
Do you guys think of a feasible alternative to adding a foot to the sign?
Doesn't sound like it. I mean, it can be done, but it's an expense for them.
It's a change, basically, and basically, if we turn it down, then it's basically back to the correct order. It's more, or it changes the look on the sign, on the post, so. Requested variance is substantial. Substantial is a fun one. There's a 25% increase over the variance given. What does it mean substantial? It's always a fun game. How about I don't have area variance? For me, on a sign, does it change the look and the feel of the neighborhood? Does it emit more light? Does it impact neighbors? Does it look different on the posts themselves? In this case, another foot of width. Not. Looks like 6 inches each side. I think that's a hard one. I don't know. Any thoughts on what is substantial or not? Pete, can you hear me okay?
When you're facing the way you are now, yes.
Okay, I'll try to face that way.
I know that either that or the bird needs to fly around the room there, the owl.
Yeah. You know what? If you got, when you're speaking, could you guys like lean into the owl and talk a little closer?
I'm not sure I have any more cord.
We're working on cord length right now.
Oh, wait. Yes,
Lots of cord.
it was just on the floor.
Oh, the owl was on the floor?
No, no, the cord was.
Conrad, you broke it.
I hit a button.
Didn't like that.
Can you still hear okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have a nice panoramic view of the room. I don't know. You hit a good button there, whoever did it.
Yeah, we just moved it. We got smart.
Okay.
Okay. We're talking about substantialness. Is a
Right.
foot
I
change-
think for me on the surface, 25%, yes, is significant, but it's sort of filling in the space that's already there. There's already the sign indicating that, you know, the post number and everything else is already in that space. So for me, that kind of, I don't know, diminishes the, you know, this kind of the slap in the face that it's a 25% increase, personally.
That's somewhat my read on it, basically, because it doesn't change, it fits in the space. It does in space, so it doesn't have that impact of 25%.
I think it'll look better.
Yeah.
And, you know, something that's shrunk up, you know, because it's not gonna come all the way out.
Okay. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood?
I don't live there. Oh,
Mike.
we're not being honest.
Alright,
No,
so it's not gonna change the drainage or the birds or any like migration patterns or,
People along them might argue that point.
yeah, I know. Alright, I don't think it's gonna change the physical environment.
No,
Alright, this one was a fun one, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Okay. The difficulty being they want a bigger sign. Right? The goal, difficulty. So when the question is whether the alleged difficulty, so what they're asking variance for is they want that bigger sign. Was it self-created? Right, so let's talk about why they want the bigger sign, right? It fits better in the face. It's cheaper. And it's a better viewpoint and is closing size to the existing sign. Okay. Self-created. Oh. Posts were there. So at some point you got to do the post.
can you speak up?
Yeah, of
Sorry.
course, sorry.
Yeah, just yell it, just yell.
No, I'll just lean forward and not mumble.
Yeah. All right,
I'll start there. So self-created. I mean, for me, like when I look at it, I think there's a couple reasons why a bigger sign is being asked for. It has better visibility. It's closer in size to the current sign, which is a 4x8.
Hang on one sec.
That might improve the sound.
Can you hear better now?
yeah, I sure can.
Oh.
Oops, it was coming from my computer instead of the owl.
No.
My bad, sorry about that.
All right,
Okay,
we're getting there.
Yay.
So whether it's self-created or not, I mean, a lot of times applications are self-created, you know?
Yeah.
They want a bigger deck, you want a change in something. I mean, at the end of the day, we're asking for a variance to an existing code, right? But we're in that gray area where we already allowed an EMC 12 square feet. So we're kind of, you know, already winded our way off of the code a little bit here. So I don't know, what do you guys think about alleged difficulty self-created?
did I hear correctly that a 3x4 is more expensive than a 3x5?
From the company that we spoke with and are currently talking with, they don't offer one that size. Other
Okay.
companies do, but they're more expensive.
Gotcha, okay, all right.
In that regard, then it's not self-created.
Yeah. Usually this is a pretty easy one for me because they're typically self-created. In this case,
Price point.
because of Pete's point, the price point just makes it maybe a little less self-created.
Right,
And the fact that the posts already exist.
right, okay, so the post exists, that we granted a sign that was hard to locate and did not fit, that didn't look good in the sign.
Yeah.
The question is, do you guys feel like in hindsight, if we'd known that this space was 63 inches wide, and they'd ask for something that was 60 inches wide, we'd be like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
inspector might have looked at that before and been like, sure. Like, because what we're trying to do, we granted a variance for a sign in that location.
Yeah.
That looks a lot like this.
That's what we thought we were.
That's
voting.
what we're voting on. And now they're coming back and saying, well, we tried for the 3x4 like you specified, and the 3x4 didn't work. We had to put the 3x5 in the same location as you guys already approved. Okay. Okay,
Yep.
you agree, Pete? Okay.
Mhm.
All right, now. So. What I have basically is test one, undesirable change. We said no. Benefits sought by applicant can be achieved by feasible alternative to the variance. We didn't really think so. Whether the variance was substantial. I kind of went yes, because I felt like 25% was a substantial variance. But we also felt like, I think as a group during our conversation, we felt like those mitigating factors that are making us feel like it's along those lines. Would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood? We thought not really. And whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. And we said no, because of price and because of like the posts are there, and that sort of thing. That summarize the board's thoughts? Yeah, Pete. Good. All right. Now, do you guys want to take a vote on, basically the question is basically, do we pass it? Do we allow the area variance or do we not allow the area variance? Are you guys comfortable taking a vote on that at this stage? Do you want to table it? Okay, I got 4 head nods. All right, Mike, you want to go first? So an I vote passes it and they vote denies it.
I gotta pass.
Mike pass, good. Caitlin?
Aye.
Pete?
I
Okay.
pass.
And Conrad also goes aye, and Andy looks on with glee. Okay.
Please, I don't have to.
Okay, all right. Are there any conditions? All right, it does outweigh the detriment. Are there any conditions that we want to put on this to minimize adverse impacts to the neighborhood?
Well, we had in the past, they talked about the luminization, but it sounds like they've got that kind of under control.
Yes.
I don't know if we'll.
So we'll write down follow existing code. We'll write down the code for the lumens and lights and that sort of thing, right?
Yes.
Okay,
We're gonna buy the light meter and then charge Tim to use it.
like it.
Rent it to him.
He's looking forward to measuring all these signs we're
I
approving.
can't wait.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Don't tell them we loaned it to you.
Okay, does that conclude the use variant, the area variance? Okay, sweet. All right, that is 1 area variance done. Number 2, use variance. Use variants are more stringent. We need to pass all the tests in order to be passed. If they don't pass any one of the tests, then it's denied. In this case, the code is the code is denied on is EMC messages or copy shall not be more than 2 colors per message. Okay. What I want to talk about before we get into this use variance itself is what does that mean to us as a board in terms of what is a message or copy? Is that the thing that the display, the whole thing, 2 colors, or is that line by line?
I think it would be the whole thing.
I think based on the way it's written, message or copy, I would say a copy would be the whole sign. So my interpretation would be the whole screen. Tim, do you have a read on that one? Gut feel?
You know, this is the first time I really looked at the word copy in this code.
Okay, all right. Then we'll discuss. You don't have to worry about it then. So,
All right, sounds good.
yeah. What ZBA
Yeah,
gets to do.
actually, my interpretation doesn't count.
Right. Not right now. It does count. Pete, do you have any thoughts on this?
Boy, copy, text. To me, those 2 words basically are interchangeable.
Right.
When I think of copy, it's the text. I don't necessarily think of it as the background, color of an advertisement. It's, what's the text color? Is it black? Is it white? Or is it multicolored? So I guess to your question, it is confusing because if you have a colored background, does that mean now your message has to be the other color? Again, just because I walk by the Presbyterian church's sign, seems to be the way they're interpreting it.
Yeah,
That's what
I have pictures of that too, if anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how they have interpreted it. Is basically every time something's displayed, it's 2 colors.
Right.
Like background and font.
Right.
2 colors total.
But it's in fairness, copy, text, that's pretty ambiguous
Yeah, it is.
in the code.
Do you want to hear the Oxford English dictionary,
Sure.
definition?
That's what we roll with, interpretations, yeah.
Noun. One, a thing made to be similar or identical to another.
Okay.
That's the first definition
Of what?
of copy.
Of copy, okay. Yeah.
Copies.
Two, a single specimen of a particular book, record, or other publication or issue.
Newsletter issue, okay.
You want to hear the verb?
Now,
No,
Okay,
all right.
that's all I got.
Thanks. So EMC messages or copy, the message or text, right, shall not be more than 2 colors per message. If I display multiple messages on the board, is a board a message, or is each line a message? Wait, that's the, you know, this comes back in circles.
I know, and then I feel like it's like a slippery slope, because then you could have like 2 messages on one line, so it's like, are we saying Happy Father's Day? And then period, something else on the same line?
Oh,
and
the
then
different
Happy
colors,
Father's Day.
right.
Yeah, so it's like, how do we
Yeah.
really want to get into
I think,
delineating that
right.
for all these people that are gonna be coming to us with EMCs?
I think when we originally wrote this code, I think the idea was to limit the colors. And I think that in this case, I believe that message meant placard display. Whatever message is displayed can have 2 colors displayed at any one time,
mhm,
whether it's background and text or whatever. So
That includes the background.
I think that includes the background. Okay, I don't know if you pick a white background, the absence of color, can you go a purple line and a red line? Yeah. Or a red and a blue line with your white background? Just
hey,
saying.
white's a color.
Right, well, white's, I mean, that's, yeah, white's a color,
It is.
so. Yep, okay,
I
I
thought
feel
black
like
and white were the absence of,
White is all color, black is the absence of. I don't know, I think if we try to think of what the intent was, is like, I
that's what we
mean,
do.
we don't want these flashing, like garish signs in our neighborhood
Right.
and, you know, different colors, and okay, this, you know, we have like a 5-word message and each word is a different color. It's like, we're not a kindergarten classroom.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think that they're harder to read too.
Yeah.
Multiple colors.
They're distracting.
Yeah. that's okay.
That was my guess, the intent as well. It was intended as this to encompass the whole sign.
A simple, clear message with 2 colors as a display,
On
okay,
a placard.
all right, that's what we're going with, okay?
yep,
That's gonna be our roll forward on that one for now. Okay, guess someone challenged us on it. All right, now, so the use variance then was a request to have 5 colors on their side, okay? And we heard the applicant's rationale for that. And as we know, on a use variance, we have slightly more rigorous tests. We have 4 of them. To summarize the 4 tests, the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return as shown by competent financial evidence. The lack of return must be substantial. Okay. The second test, the alleged hardship relating to the property is unique. The hardship may not apply to a substantial portion of the zoning district or neighborhood. Number 3, the requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. And number 4, the alleged hardship has been self-created. Back to self-created. Everyone loves self-created. All right. Any questions on the 4 tests? Well, I'll tell them in order. I'll say them again. We'll take them in order if that works for everyone. Work for you, Pete?
Mhm.
Yep, all right.
Yep.
Cool. All righty. So. All right, the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return as shown by competent financial evidence. The lack of return must be substantial. On the application, the applicant's written statement, they are talking about losing a sign that's 32 square feet. We said 12 square feet when we gave it to them before. Significant loss in advertising space. Concern that they won't be able to properly advertise, directly result in substantial loss of business. And we feel that they feel that they'll not be reaching their customers well. Okay.
Just, was that the verbiage from the original?
That was the verbiage from this May.
Okay,
I don't think we discussed
All right.
colors the last time. did
No, we
We did not.
No.
So, okay, so.
so I guess the hypothesis is they're gonna make more money with 5 colors than 2?
That's I think what the argument is.
Okay,
Okay,
Just talking to myself.
okay. All right, okay,
And is it mainly like you're seeking the ability to display the American flag on the sign? And then maybe like text of different colors, like if you have like 2 events in like 1 week, like maybe you'll want like one event to be one color and one event to be like a different color to kind of
Exactly,
differentiate between them.
which would be the 5 colors, red, white, and blue for the flag. And then 2 different colors to depict 2 different messages.
Does your sign have the ability to have the same, like a different message on each side?
I honestly don't
I
know.
don't think so. I think it's the same.
I think they're the same message on either side of the sign.
That makes sense.
be confusing if you change the date from one
Well,
side to the other.
It would, and I don't know the answer to your question.
Fair enough.
When you're talking about the American flag, I think before you were talking about maybe it being in a corner.
Correct.
Not as a background.
No. Just like in one of the upper left or upper right corner, just a small picture of the American flag. Not as a background, it would be distracting.
That's what I was thinking.
All right, so I guess I'm wondering where the financial piece is to show me that the difference between a 2-color EMC and a 5-color EMC is gonna show a true lack of return. Like a 5-color would, you know, have greater return than a 2-color.
And what colors did you have for your previous sign? Because it looks like you could have black and red text. Did you have any other colors?
On your placard pieces,
They were simply black.
black and sometimes red.
And it had a white background, and there may have been some red numbers, but I don't know, I didn't.
That's pretty standard, like, yeah, those ones are.
Sorry.
It's hard to look.
Just go, just stand on your head.
I know. Yeah, she's looking at the original, yeah, so you get some red numbers, you can see the black and then some red stuff that was tucked in there.
Okay.
So, yeah. 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 Seriously,
2 colors.
it's 2 colors with a white background, yeah. Yeah, I mean, pretty standard signage, those placards, that came in white, that came in red and black on a white background.
Probably made of asbestos.
Probably made of asbestos, right? PPA plastics too. All right,
You don't wanna know what's in this.
yeah, no, don't think too much about solid 50s
My
construction.
husband works in that kind of field and he's like, as long as you're not licking stuff, like.
Don't know to.
It's annoying.
This meeting will not end with us licking things. So, the applicant cannot realize a reasonable return, okay? Okay, anything else to add to that? And we'll talk yes or no in a little bit. Anyone to add to that? All right, the alleged hardship relating to the property is unique. Their uniqueness argument was that they're the only veteran service organization in the village of Canton. So the opportunity to display a flag on there was unique to them. Usage of colors may not be unique to them. Right? I don't know, what do you guys think about uniqueness?
And I think other organizations could have a similar argument.
We're going to display the New York flag.
Yeah.
I need what, 12 colors now? Flags of organizations, we have multiple flags out in front of this building that are more than 3 colors. Okay. Thoughts, Mike?
My personal opinion, I like to see more flags.
Mhm.
And I see with there being a veteran organization,
Mhm.
you know, I would think people would expect that.
Yeah. Okay. The requested use variance, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. 5 colors versus 3 colors. I would like to come back to like, I know that the request is to have specifically, like, we want red, white, and blue, and they want multiple colors. But the variance as written would be 5 colors. It could be pink, purple, lime green, red, and, you know, fuchsia, right? Because we are not writing that's that way. So we have to keep that in mind when we create use variances and things like that. That's just, I understand that the application is very clear about what you guys want to display. But it is also, it's a request for 5 colors.
And this is like precedent.
This is
setting.
precedent setting.
Yeah.
That is the danger. We didn't even see any region. All right. Would it alter the essential character of the neighborhood to a 5-color sign as opposed to a 2-color sign? Okay. As a neighbor, if a 5-color sign went up where there was no EMC sign lit there before, I would feel that would be a change to my neighborhood. That's just where I sit. I don't know. Where others sit that, but I worry about a 5-color sign and how that presents in that neighborhood. Most of the signs in the neighborhood, even they are commercial, they are business, they are logo based. Even the eagles above there, you have 5 colors above there, but it's a piece of artwork and it's a display sign specifically for an organization, and it's well done for that. A 5-color LED sign or EMC, I feel the slope on that, you start drifting towards what, I'm not sure what how the code is written to support that, or what we're looking for in that case. But I also feel like I'm talking a lot, so I'm not sure what other people think about this.
I think when I'm just thinking about this in general, it's like, you know, the church that already has an EMC
Mhm.
and is abiding by the 2-color. And I think, like there's a way to get your message across in keeping with the nature of the code. Like there's a reason why the people that drafted the code selected the 2 colors.
Right.
And I think there's a way to get different messages across, like the church is doing like different font sizes.
Using font choice, and so basically thinking about how, like, if the goal is the message,
Yeah.
how do you use the 2 to?
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I have pictures of what they're trying to highlight, you know, it's just different sizes to get their message across.
Right.
And then in terms of future signs, it's like, it's very honorable and, you know, very patriotic that we want to have an American flag, but then it's like, we could have the, you know, marijuana dispensary want a sign that has.
Which one? Which marijuana?
Well, you know.
Take your pick, yeah.
And then, you know, if that comes in and it's denied, it's like, well, the veterans get to have 5 colors. Why can't we have, you know, the Jamaican flag on here and whatever, and Bob Marley and, sorry.
Yeah.
Not being politically correct, probably.
it's a tough conversation. We have another EMC sign variance coming up in a month. It's requesting multiple colors as well. And so,
There are 3 flags now flying above that sign.
Adjacent, the American flag, the POW flag.
Yep.
And what is the third one? Is it the state?
New York State.
Yeah. the
It
state
looks like
flag.
the state flag based
It
on
would
the
be.
picture I'm looking at.
Right.
I think it's the state.
They would be offset from that sign probably 3 or 4 feet, but yes,
Closer to the road.
correct.
Yes.
So the American flag is flying in front of as it should be.
It is.
obviously. Yeah.
And above everything.
I guess for me, that is one factor.
Mhm.
In there, there's already a flag flying.
Mhm.
This doesn't need a variance from us,
no,
of course.
black flags.
Or even the potential to add something to the posts, maybe? Even like a wooden flag, would that be allowable?
I have no idea. But I mean, the flag, I mean, it is basically, you have the VFW sign, right? To the left of that, you have but basically, when you're looking at it here, there's 3 flagpoles.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, theoretically, they could paint their posts.
Right.
In the American flag colors.
I mean, it doesn't get around that. I mean, I think the thing is too, is they're trying to make sure their message gets out there. And they're concerned about the single color message getting out there. And the message, from what I'm hearing, if I'm not using the words that represent you, please let me know. Part of their message is the pride of the American flag and the pride in their veterans. And that's part of their message, and they're trying to get that out there, plus their activities. So, and we're looking at it as from a code perspective, it's 5 colors, right? Yep.
Not to downplay that message that you're trying to get out there, because
No.
we support it.
If granted, would not alter the essential character in the neighborhood. Pete, can you still hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. I guess I need to move further back and mumble more then.
Yeah, I just from what has been said, I'm, pretty much on the same page that, the code was written for a reason for 2 colors. And that's the code, and we know we're going to be getting a lot of these. And if we go to 5, then, maybe 3 months from now, someone's looking for 7. It's just a slippery slope. And I don't know what the alternative is. If, how do you petition to change the code? That's probably a completely different process. That's not our job. I mean, how would someone go about advocating to say, 2 is really not adequate. We need 4 or whatever that number is. So how can we change the code? I know that to me, I'm pretty sure that's not our hill to die on, right?
It's a process through the village board. So
Right.
if an applicant feels that basically the code needs to be changed, and only conversation with the CEO and then with the village board about getting that to go through process, because
Right.
the village board is the purveyors of the code in that case.
Okay.
There are situations where, as a ZBA board or ZBA chair, Mike, he can take it to the board and say, look, I've got a lot of cases in this situation. I recommend that you look at this code. So
Mhm.
if we continue to see a lot of situations that we continue to hear variances, like, look, 2 is not doing it. Like, we need 4, like your code is behind the times, then that is one thing that I get to do, unless Mike wants to.
I'll be busy then.
Okay. I can take it to the board, and basically ask the board to be like, look, I think that this is something you guys need to evaluate. This is what we've seen. This is where we are. This is like, we've done 12 meetings about EMCs and 2 colors. Like, so that's kind of, and you guys are just the first one. So that's where we are. But there's that process. Okay.
I got a question for my signs. If you have a sign in the company, do you tell them what we only can use 2 colors? Or do you have an option to have more colors, but you would only could use, I mean, like I said, it got changed, 2 years down the line, and then you could put your 5 colors up. I mean, are you gonna be able to do that, or
Yes,
without? I don't know how the color things goes in, I don't.
it's a software in the
It's a
computer.
software, okay.
We will input our message, formulate what we want to be displayed, and it'll be sent wirelessly to the sign.
Okay,
So it can be changed.
Yeah, the LEDs, normally the LEDs behind them can display multiple colors, okay? So each bulb, can control, basically go through multiple colors, right? So basically I say, I want to create this sort of display on this section, it'll do that there with those colors. And so that's all software driven, and the signs are smart enough to display that based on that.
so they wouldn't have to use the same 2 colors each time, you could use
Yeah,
Correct.
whatever colors. you want.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the church's sign, that's sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's yellow. They change it up, but it's always just, on that day, 2 colors.
okay. All right, the 4 questions, coming back to the 4 questions, we had the last one we didn't touch on is the hardship being self-created. The request for 5 colors. I mean, it's a request for 5 colors. Basically self-created, that the guiding questions that the state asks, that provides for us are things like, what were the permitted uses at the time of the purchase, the property was purchased? That's out the window because the EMCs didn't exist. Did you spend lots of money on remodeling? No, this is a brand new sign. Like, was the property received through inheritance, a court order, divorce? I hope not. And like, basically there's nothing here that, other than wanting to put up a new sign that represents your message. There's nothing there that's, so it is self-created in a lot of ways.
Well, we'll get to keep the EMC in the divorce.
I know, the F or W.
That's what I'll get to do at my job.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, you do. Awesome. All right. Now, the applicant cannot, I'm gonna go back to the 4 questions so I can jot down some notes in terms of where we think we are. Now, like my notes I jot down, of course, are just my notes, okay? The applicant cannot realize a reasonable return as shown by competent financial evidence. The lack of return must be substantial. Things that are guiding questions are there bills of sales? Are there leases? Are there tax bills? Are there anything that shows basically that there's a financial implication? What do you guys think? Do you think that the lack of return is substantial?
No.
I mean, it's 5 versus 2 colors. Is there anything that's shown this documentation wise that basically that the 2 of the 5 changes the return? I'm not seeing anything.
No.
Okay. All right. The alleged hardship relating to the property is unique. It may not apply to a substantial portion of the zoning district or neighborhood. Well, there's only one VFW, but there's a lot of places that you're gonna wanna have signs, right? And so the difference between a 2-color and a 5-color sign, this would apply to a lot of different places, I feel. That where our read is. Okay.
Mhm.
The requested use variance, if granted, would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. 5 colors versus 2 colors. Well, I think that one could probably be argued both ways. I'm comfortable with the argument saying no, it wouldn't really change much because DQ is already running 5 colors with a backlit sign across the road.
Yeah.
But Stewart's is running one front lit sign with, 1 color. So I think you're in a toss up on that one. That's my read on it.
Yeah.
Is that, are you okay with a toss up on that one?
Yep.
The alleged hardship has been self-created. Well, 2 versus 5 colors, this hardship of not being allowed to use 5 colors versus 2 colors. Do you think it's been self-created? I'm gonna go yes.
Right?
Um. So. Yeah. All right, after reviewing the above four proofs, basically this is a use variance, which is the equivalent of spot zoning. Which is a much tougher thing to pass, okay? Because what we are saying is we pass a use variance, as I talked about earlier, was basically we're saying this parcel is so unique that it is allowed to follow different laws than every other parcel around it. Based on where the board is, the board found that basically the lack of return it's not clear that it's substantial between 2 and 5. I feel like the property, it's not unique to this parcel, the request for 5 versus 2. We're unsure on essential character neighborhood. We weren't going to delve into that one too much and dig it out because we feel like the other 3 of the other 4 tests kind of fell apart. Okay. So basically the applicants failed to prove unnecessary hardship through the application, 4 tests required by state statutes. Okay. Now, we back here to vote. So we found that they do not prove unnecessary hardship. Before we vote, you guys have any questions?
I do. If we use a white background, is that a part of the colors?
Good question.
Or do we use white background in a black or red?
Right.
Just again for
Yeah,
people looking at it.
right. That's a really good question.
It's the first time I've had today.
And to
Try it and we'll see if we
piggyback
get a
on
different
that, with a white background and we used blue and red, we could still have our flag.
Right. I was already there.
I know you were. Thought I'd say it out loud.
We're not trying to set a precedent.
No. You're asking for clarification.
Give us a break.
No, you're asking for clarification. Basically, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, because white's a color. A lot of times white's considered a color, but then black's not a color. So then you could run a pink and a purple on black, right? Is that only 2 colors? Or is that 3 colors?
Try it and we'll let you know.
No.
No, then no one wants to be in that situation.
Prefer not to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't discuss background.
It does not.
It doesn't, I mean, it discusses message.
Right.
Not background,
Right.
you know, so that's a tough one for us, I think.
Right. I'm good. I'm gonna table that one for now and get back to you. We have a meeting scheduled in 2 months, which was a bits and pieces meeting. And I'd like to discuss that at that meeting. If that's okay with you. I suspect that if you guys are up and running by then we'll have an answer for you. But otherwise, like, we'll stay with 2 in the display for now. But let's let my board look for an interpretation on that. I think that's a longer conversation. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's a good question.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
should talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's that.
It's good because it's gonna come up again, so
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
answer and get it right.
Right. So let's answer that question. Let's be clear.
Which meeting? The September meeting?
The September meeting. Yeah, that was the one we hadn't put anything on yet, but I got an
Right.
application today for that one too, so it's awesome. Okay, so. So the question is white background, is the white background
Consider the 2.
a color? And it's black. I'd say black and white are probably the only 2 ones that I've put in that category of like, are they background colors, like, right? Because you put a green up as a background, I don't want 2 colors on that, right? Do I?
No.
But if I put a white up, then maybe, and black, maybe? Okay. Good, I love questions like that. All right, go.
White background and then black letters. Is that 0 color?
Yeah, I know. Kidding.
Oh, boy, here
Against
we
each
going
other.
down the
Yeah.
slippery slope.
Sorry.
No, but that's, I mean, like what you guys are encountering too is like basically like this stuff used to the code was wishy-washy. The code is a little looser and always went to the village board. And so now it's codified and comes to us. Like we've had 5, 6 meetings about signs and we
Yeah.
have,
Unmarked homes.
yeah, basically. So that's all we're saying. Yeah.
So when you talk about this, and you talk about the colors, but can we get a clarification what they calling this, their vote now is just text. It doesn't say anything about the backgrounds. And that would certainly help us out in the long run.
Yeah, that's what we need. So
Yeah.
part of our duties is we get to make the interpretation on those.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Yeah, I know. There's the fun ones. Remember that was what we had that application, the first one Caitlin sat on, the church. That was an interpretation. And then we've been interpreting.
Really set the bar high
It did.
for what this
It did.
club was gonna be.
Yeah, I know, this club was pretty elite at that point. And next month we have another interpretation coming in. It's asking about what backlight lit is.
Mm.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna see on some of the signage stuff. It's like, so the way that the code works for ZBAs is ZBAs see the fun stuff like an area variance. I wanna extend my garage by 2 feet. Those are the fun ones. And then we get the area variances where I want a sign bigger. And then we get the use variance, I want a different sign. Or a duplex in an area that doesn't allow duplex. And then we also get what are called interpretations. Interpretations are they go through the code, Tim reads it, says, no, I don't think so, or yes, I think so. And then the applicant says, I'm interpreting it differently than you, I disagree with your interpretation. And then they kick it to us. And our job as a CBA is to read the code, think about how it's originally written. Sometimes you get it in dictionaries too. You read what diction, and then you start to unpack it that way. And then you make a decision based on that. So we get into like, what's a message, what's the copy? That's like the fun games of, yeah, Mike's like, really?
So we get paid a lot of money, right?
That we do. And prestige. All right, so let's close this guy off with a vote, please. The nay will deny this use variance, that I will allow this use variance. We have actually, no, you know what? Because the applicant has failed to prove, right? So we're saying do we agree with the failure to prove, basically, right? So if you say aye, then you're agreeing with the statement that they did not prove not for the use variance. I started Mike last time. Caitlin, your turn this time.
So if we say aye,
Yeah, then we are turning them down.
yeah, okay, aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Pete,
Aye.
Conrad, aye, and Andy again is
Same, just
happy.
sitting here looking pretty.
Yep, well done.
You're doing a good Dan Quayle imitation.
Yeah.
You are our poster guy. Andy.
That's it, I guess.
So, okay. All right, so that concludes that portion of the public meeting.
Yeah.
You guys have any more questions?
Got enough to come
On
down.
the variance that just failed,
Yep,
you mentioned tabling this to talk
I am-
about
what
background.
colors,
Okay,
right? So we're gonna come back to, in 2 months, I'll put that on our agenda to talk about what is considered a color on a display. Is
Okay.
background, text, or what? To provide a little more clarification on that for you. At this point in time, I would go with a more rigid reading of this,
Mhm.
which is if something's up there, it should only have 2 colors and the background counts as 1. Okay. That's where I'm more comfortable with us being right now, but I'll look into the white and black backgrounds with the text being 2 colors basically on a white and black background. That's the question.
okay, so we will be informed of that information or that decision in writing or your interpretation.
We will let you know basically after that September meeting.
Okay,
Okay. Feel like that.
and if we disagree with that portion of this, that's where we have to take this up before the village board.
If you disagree with that portion of the income, like basically, so if you're asking us to do an interpretation of this portion of the code, like what is a color?
The background,
Right.
right,
Okay. So basically, if we make a decision on that, beyond us, beyond the ZBA, I'm not sure there is an appeal process that you can go to appeal to the state if we didn't follow the right procedures.
okay,
That's the section, whatever it is.
that's what I had heard before at the previous meeting, and then you mentioned something about
But the village board is like, I want to change the code.
okay,
The village board is like, you can come to us, and if you don't like what we're doing, you can apply to the state saying we didn't follow procedures.
No.
And that's fine. If you want to change the code, and you're like, hey, I live here in town, I've seen this bunch, like, hey, what do you guys think about, like, talk to your ZBAs, talk to your planning, because we're seeing a lot of things on the signs that aren't matching what the consumers need.
that's what I was looking for, clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's fine. Right there.
separate.
This is gonna be last for another 2 months.
No,
No, we can,
place your order.
No,
move
you
on.
can go ahead and place your order, but.
yeah,
Yeah,
You got approval to order the sign right away based on that size.
and put it in and just kind of like, all it is programming change.
exactly.
Yeah, so that's good.
Well, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. So,
Thank you for what you guys do.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
all right, board, we're meeting. We have one on the 21st of August, right? And we have 2 public hearings that day. We're back to back. Okay. Yeah, that was, we have,
That's August 20th.
Yep.
yeah, no kidding, because that was, we decided we could run
Right.
2 that day.
We started
Yes.
earlier.
Starting at 7 still, but we're gonna call it 8:30. Okay? We're just gonna run it and this, we're just gonna cap it at 8:30 and then what we have is the meeting on the 19th on September. Or we'll pick up the loose ends from the previous meeting, so,
You're August 21, and the rest of the group can all show up.
yeah, yes. The
What-
rest of you verified you're out for August 21.
The meeting on September 19th, what's the time for that? Is that 7?
18.
September 18th. At
Oh,
7.
18th, I'm sorry.
Yep, Wednesday.
Okay, yep, I've got that one. Okay, good.
You put them on the 19th too, Pete?
No, no.
Yeah. So we'll go that
Back to
one.
back, that just might push me over the edge.
Yeah, no, we, just to warn you guys, board, I got another application in today, so we might be looking at an October meeting as well.
Okay,
I know, so feast or famine. It's all good. Good, great, all right, so.
all right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Randy.
Do you need
Yeah, thanks so much.
motion and
Appreciate it.
stuff?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Let me just close it. How about a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close the meeting. Thank you.
Second.
Yeah, I just want to make sure you're recovered.
Recovered.
Thank you.
I'm in North Carolina.
Thank you.
Fine.
I do like this.
She's really good. Yeah.
Did you notice the
Under-
sign behind us?
That's how it goes.
They want that line, just with red and black.
It's 2 colors.
So.
Are you just pushing on Mike here?
Sort of.
The
meeting's over, so.
Okay, I think I
Mike can
got
take it.
everything. All right, have a good night, Zoom people.
Yeah, yeah.
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Take care.